Okay, the recording is back on, and we did some troubleshooting and came to the conclusion that it wasn't my connection to the internet, and it wasn't other people's connection to the internet, and we think that maybe the problem is the Zoom servers, and then probably more directly that me transmitting video was impacting my audio signals. So far, has anybody noticed any difference in the audio now that my video is turned off? Any change in the quality of the audio? So far, so good, maybe. And it's better, okay. All right, so here's what I'll do. I'll turn on the video for just a minute, not say much, and then turn it off. Anyways, I think that's probably our best solution. It looks like it's helping. Okay, I'll get this off the screen. That was part of the troubleshooting that we did. By the way, for those of you who don't know, we went to a website called speedtest.net. It's free, and you just click on a button, test, and that measures how quickly you are accessing the internet. So for what it's worth, that was the troubleshooting that we did. Okay, so these are new links here. Back to our conversation. Shark, this is how you accessed today's live session. It also, by the way, I'll be putting in the links in here for the lectures, and this might be even a good place where I could put additional links to specific parts of the lecture. And then we have course information. ProQuest, this is a place for us to log into a online research for doing any, it's a good place for doing research on your discussions. Our Student Success Center, the readings and videos. If you click here, you'll see a list. Currently, you just see the course overview. So this isn't really a good list of readings and videos. That's not working yet. Help, computer help, helpful hints. Here's information about me. And then this here is a link to what the syllabus right now. It's the same thing it links to from over here. And that I expect is changed. They're actually developing this and enhancing this right now. Here are links, and these are specific links to content within the course. So let's briefly introduce tonight's agenda. We're going to be going over the discussion, the assignment, and begin reviewing the assessment. And we'll have a break at 8 o'clock, and probably a 10-minute break. And we plan to end right around 9 o'clock. Now, I'll probably go over tonight just because we had some technical difficulties, both on the beginning where I didn't come in as the host, and then also on this audio issue. So I'll go over. I'll excuse everybody at 9 o'clock just to keep the schedule, and then I'll just stay after and answer questions, helping anybody who needs additional help. So here's the course description. This course focuses on designing websites with creative interfaces, strong graphic images, functional site organization, and logical navigation. Can everybody answer? And I'm going to ask a question. If you could just type in your answer. How many of you have ever developed a website before? Everybody answer. And if you've already done it, just say about how much. All right, Sarah asked a question with coding or the front end. The question is, how many of you have developed a website before? Okay. Awesome. All right, so Scotty said, I've played around with Wix. does that count? It's a great question, and to come back with, because I was not really clear on that, because I was assuming that the question meant from creating it from scratch and then uploading it. So, so let me ask Sarah here. You've developed, Sarah's already made a website from scratch. So that's really good. So Sarah probably understands a little bit about the website design, as well as implementing your design in code. What tool did you use for designing, and if you did, and what tool did you use for developing and implementing the website, Sarah? Okay, MySQL, that's the database. Yep, it's excellent. That's actually over and above the scope of this course. HTML, CSS, PHP for the page developments. And did you use an editor, a tool? Like, did you run a program that allowed you to edit the HTML? And if so, what program did you run?
Can you repeat what you said about the HTML? You cut out.
Sure. I'm wondering if you had a tool, a program that you ran in order to edit the HTML and CSS.
We had a tool that would check for errors, like if you missed a closed caret, and it would give you a line number about where that error was, or where something was not right.
Sure.
And I can't remember what it was, but that way you could go back and check and see if a caret wasn't closed or if a line of coding wasn't correct to where your website wouldn't work.
Sure. And so it escapes you the name of that program that you were using.
It's been 8 years since I've gotten the degree.
I don't know. It's not Dreamweaver, was it?
No, we wrote everything from the back end and then tested it so we could see what it would look like live.
Mm-hmm.
And then would make your modifications. And like I said, you could run a program that would show where your errors were or if your coding was wrong, like a line number. But that doesn't necessarily mean it was actually in that line.
Sure. Okay. That sounds good.
I'm trying to remember what it was. It's been too long since I've done it.
That's okay. It'll come to you. You remember MySQL. That's a good thing to remember. Okay, let's go back to Scotty's question. Response. He said, I've played around with Wix.com. Does that count? That's a great question. Now, the first part of tonight's lecture is to talk about the week 1 objective. And here are our learning objectives for week 1. First, understand the principles of usability. 2, understand the requirements of accessibility. 3, learn to specify website design requirements. And 4, develop a creative brief for a personal portfolio website. Okay, so just a little bit of theory here. I don't have PowerPoint slides. By the way, do you like PowerPoint slides? Is that helpful? I'm just curious, just doing a little bit of a survey here. I've done PowerPoint slides in the past, and then I've done where I just use examples here on the browser. So can I take an informal survey about PowerPoints? Scale of 1 to 5. 5 means you really like them. 1 means not like them at all. Okay, Will says hands-on examples. 5, Mary, that means you really like them. Got neutral 3 for Ryan and 3 for Christopher and 4 for Scotty and Sarah. And 4 depends on the content. All right, well that's more affirmative than I expected. So during this class I'll go ahead and prepare PowerPoint slides so that everybody can get what they're needing. All right, so let's talk about the web. And now, right now, we are and about design and usability and accessibility. All websites go through a process of design where not only is the design and layout of the page developed and planned, but then also the whole structure of the website, which means hyperlinks that link to other content, and then other media that you might access. Now, the process, this course is, our plan for this course is to design the requirements of a website and then to go ahead and begin to learn the coding that will help us create that. Now, I asked the question about what tool. Now, our tool that we are using is, for this course, is going to be Dreamweaver, and you should have Dreamweaver Creative Cloud 2015 installed on your machine. It won't be used until for the assignments until the later on. But I want you to learn a little bit about Dreamweaver and this tool that we are using. And I'm going to show you by going to a website called Indeed. This is for searching out jobs. And I want you to see a little bit about the reality of the world out there. And in here, I type in Dreamweaver, and it comes back with 2,727 jobs are available for this particular skill. And then here are the salary estimates and range of those jobs, between 40,000 and 75,000 a year. Now, you can actually click on job type and go down here to see if it's full-time, contract position, part-time, and so on. Now, I want to now go down here. Now that you see that skill, let's go down here to the very bottom and click on a trends link down here. And there you see how much Dreamweaver, the tool that we're learning in this course, has become, or how popular it has become over the past 10 years. So for 5 years, it was fairly reasonably popular. This is the number, the percentage of job postings that you would see that. But then over the last 5 years, there's been a downward trend. Now, you might become very concerned about that because you might ask the question, why is it that we are learning and to use Dreamweaver when it is becoming less and less popular? Is everybody asking themselves that question? How many of you are wondering that, asking yourselves that question? Anyone? Well, I want you to then compare that to some other terms. And another thing that we're going to begin learning in this course is what it stands for HTML. Now, HTML is an acronym, and that stands for Hypertext Markup Language. Now, that happens to be what you might say the coding language of websites. Now, learning to code a website is different than learning to design a website. It actually helps to know how to do both. So now we click on Find Trends, and you'll see relative to Dreamweaver, there's been a large interest in HTML in jobs. But you see here, it too has followed over the past 3 years or so. It too is going down a little bit. And you might ask yourself, well, why is that happening? So now we're not talking about Dreamweaver, which is down here. Now we're talking about just HTML itself. Why is there a downward trend? Well, let's then try out what we might call HTML5, which is the latest version of HTML. Let's see how that has been going. So relative to what this is the number of job descriptions out there in the industry that are looking for this particular skill. As you can see, HTML5 began around the 2010, became very popular, but you see it too is suffering a little bit of a downgrade right about here, the first of this year. There's been a bump in interest in jobs. Let's add another one in there and try CSS. The CSS, it's another acronym. It stands for Creative Style Sheets. And let's add that. You can see CSS it's related to HTML. You'll learn more about what that is. But as you can see, a little bit of downtrend, a little bit of bump. Now, I want to give you my theory of what's going on here. And my theory has a lot to do and is related to Scotty's response where he said, I played around with Wix.com. Does that count? Now, Wix.com, for those of you who don't know, is a free website development and hosting where you can go and go to, it's covering it. It's a little bit hard for me to grab this here. Let me jump down like this. Wix.com is an example of a free online web hosting service. You do not need to learn to use HTML and code it. You do not need to learn to use Flash. That's actually, this is based upon using Flash, or actually HTML5, which is the latest version of HTML. So you can see that my theory is that these websites, such as Wix.com, there are other ones that we can talk about, that even Facebook is a way to create a website. You can, I don't know if you knew that, you can create pages in Facebook. You may have heard of WordPress before. How many of you have heard of WordPress before? Yeah, WordPress is another way to create a website. They have free hosting. It's a way to componentize the parts of your website. It originated in blogging, but now it's become more and more advanced, and a lot of developers out there adding components, free components. So the world of web hosting and website development and creating and so on, they're trying to make it easier and easier and easier for you to create and host a website without having to learn HTML and buy software to create that. So I want you to keep all this in mind, just so that you have some perspective about what we're teaching you in this course, because not everybody uses the same tools, even for website design. At my work, the tool that they use to design the page layout is Adobe Photoshop. And another programmer, UI designer, UI stands for user interface, uses Adobe Acrobat. And so, and that's not in the scope of our course. Our course is going to focus on Dreamweaver, which lends itself towards the website development, not as much the website design. So there are a lot of different approaches to designing, creating, and hosting your website. Does anybody have any questions up to this point? And let me ask that first. Okay. Now, the next question I want to ask is, I want to ask you if the level that I'm talking on is understandable, and because I'm always conscious of using acronyms or talking in the lingo, or if you could help me and give me a grade right now on how well I'm communicating thus far, what the situation, what am I talking on a reasonable level? And give me a grade if you would. 5 means you totally are following me and I haven't lost you. I'm not talking above your, I'm not overshooting. And 1 means, hey, I'm really lost, and this has not been a positive experience thus far, because you're talking too much lingo and the like. This helps me know where you're at. If it's kind of brand new to you, if it's brand new to you, then I can understand. I have to be very conscious of that. Okay, now let's look. Thank you very much for your feedback. I appreciate it. Principles of usability, accessibility, website design requirements, and the creative brief. This is all part of the planning. Let's come down here to this section of our goals this week, talking about the creative brief. All of these websites that, if you are a contractor, let's say you are working for somebody and they come to you and they say, hey, I want to build a website. Well, that's going to start up a conversation of the requirements of that website. And you probably have heard of a creative brief before. Whenever you do work, even if it's not to be a website, but even just any kind of work to be done, this is an important part, setting the project requirements. Now, the reason why I can definitely tell you that this is important is because these 6 objectives of setting project requirements, these are actually taken from Adobe's website, where they have certifications. So we have a group of individuals, experts, working for Adobe, who are saying, what is it that we need to have individuals become good at? If you go and learn about, if you type in Adobe certifications, these are certifications that Adobe is providing, and you can hit any of these from the Adobe website, and I'm going to show you why this content right here is important. So let's go to this programs and certifications, and right here, if you want to be certified by Adobe, then you can get what is called the Adobe Certified Associate. Now, they have these associated with several of their tools. You can see them right here. There are 6 certifications. They work with different tools. Here's the one right here that we're focused on, Dreamweaver. Other classes would teach you about Photoshop and Flash. Some of you may have taken Adobe Flash, DES246, and so on. Now, if you click on this, by the way, I'll give you this link here. You can click on that link to see these certifications. Now, in our course, we're not going to take the exams for this, but we are going to do our best to present to you what these objectives, the content around these objectives. So if you click on the exam objectives, you'll see right here, the very first section is exactly what this week is all about, setting project requirements. So that's this right here. Comes directly from the first section of requirements from Adobe. Now, I want to go back and show you that this same section is duplicated here. Watch Adobe Photoshop and setting project requirements. See that? Let's just show you a little bit more here. Click exam objectives for Adobe Flash, setting project requirements. So you can see that this is a very important skill to have. Adobe feels it's very important, and it includes it as the first section of all their certifications, setting project requirements. So everybody should be aware how important these skills are. And these are the set of 6 requirements that pertain to website development, and that is the one right here that we're focused on. These right here. There's 6 sections. This week we're going to be focused on this skill. Next week we'll focus on this skill. Week after that, and we'll get into this. This will be, we won't get all the way to the end for this course because it's just too much. But we'll do our very best to get in through this section here. These first 4 sets. Now, the creative brief is a document that comes out of the process of setting project requirements. It's a work in progress, the creative brief, in that it's a way for you to communicate with your client, with your customer, the person for whom you're doing the work, the scope of the project. And if you click here on the sample, you'll see a sample, and here's the template. Okay. We'll bring that up here in a moment. Step 1, identifying the purpose of the website, the audience, that means who is the website designed for, and their needs. The second requirement, identify web page content that is relevant to the website purpose, that's specified there, and appropriate for target audience. So now, step 1, this area. Step 2, we are now going to talk about the content of the website. Now, an example that we're going to be talking about is your personal portfolio website, and the content would be items from your portfolio. It could be also how to contact you. It could be even a link to a blog where you make posts regularly, and so on. So this would be the content, the scope of the content that you'll be adding. In other words, what's the meat that's available on your website and your web pages. Next thing, item here on number 3 is demonstrate the knowledge of standard copyright rules, related terms, obtaining permission, and citing copyrighted material. This is a very important principle because obviously you need to honor when you are using content that belongs to other individuals. We have a link here. If you follow the copyright rules, it'll go to the Wikipedia, actually the copyright website. I misspoke there. This here are the rules and regulations surrounding copyrights. In other words, what pictures you can use, what are the rules in general, and then also any content. So you don't want to get in trouble by using content from somebody else. And so when you are working for a customer, you always need to be careful about the licensing. Obviously, there's some products out there that can be used if you simply reference. There's some very open licensing that you can use, like the Commons, Creative Commons licensing and so on. So that's a skill to learn about. Number 4, demonstrate knowledge of website accessibility standards. Now this is pretty important to address the needs of people with visual and motor impairments. This comes into play. They use the word accessibility here. And when you scroll up here and you see it's talking about accessibility right here. And then if you come back to the description, course description, you see that design websites with creative interfaces and strong graphic images, functional site organization, and logical navigation. Directly, we don't talk in the course description about accessibility, but accessibility becomes very important when you are doing work for government entities like cities, states, and like the federal. If you have to be aware of these because governments are legally bound to make sure that their content of their website is accessible to those who are blind and or possibly motor impairments. That's why this is so important. Now, you might ask the question, what about regular customers and companies? Large companies would also assume a similar accountability and responsibility to adhere to making their websites accessible, not too dependent upon visual. You're enabling the person. So this ought to come into the design of, how does a person who's blind, when they come to our website, what is it that is available to them to see and navigate, or various motor impairments. So that's what this is all about. Number 4 means just a sensitivity to those who have any kind of impairment, motor impairments or visual impairments. Now we're going to take a break here in just a minute. Make website development decisions based on your analysis, interpretation of design specifications. Demonstrate knowledge of web design and applications. So here we'll be talking about the design of your website. That's the next set of skills where you do page layout and then also content. Here, if you remember, the second set, planning site design and page layout. Now they use the word site design, meaning your entire website. How is it set up? And then page layout, what does each web page look like? So that is what this is referring to here, web design and applications. Applications here would be referring to like the programs that we use. Now this link is taking us to the organization called W3, the W3C is a consortium. It's called the World Wide Web Consortium. It's just a nonprofit group of company representatives. And this is the entity, the group that actually is making specifications for the entire internet. It is this group that comes out with the definition of, for example, HTML. And they are the ones that came out, and they call them standards. They create the standards that browser companies adhere to. So dealing with web design and applications and so on. This is the group that meets and comes up and defines standards. And once they come up with standards, they then, the companies that create browsers have to adhere to those. They're the ones that interpret the HTML, the browsers here. This is an example of a browser. I'm curious, what browser do you use? Go ahead and type in your answer. what's the browser that you search the internet with mainly? What browser do you use? Everybody type in your answer. 1 for Chrome, 2 for Safari, 2 for Chrome, 3 for Safari, 1 for Firefox. So, so that's pretty interesting. And Internet Explorer, Scotty, I guess you have a Windows machine. Okay. All right. So next here, understand project management tasks and responsibilities. So you can learn, click here, and project management has to do with just your responsibility for organizing the different steps along the way for creating the website that you're doing for your customer. All right, with that, let's take a 10-minute break. And for those of you who are still, let's just take a 10-minute break and we'll start back up at 8:21. And for those of you who are still, who want to wait, I invite you to test your skills on a little test. I'll give you a link to that test. Remember that W3 standards group, W3C? They also have organized a website called W3 Schools. And this is an online website where you can teach yourself how to create a website. Now, let me see. I want to see the copyright here. Okay, my sound is still cutting out. I'm going to blame Zoom for that. The Zoom servers. All right, so I'm going to show you w3schools.com, and then let's click on Learn HTML. I'll give you a link here in just a minute. And here's the test. Okay, obviously, this test is just for your information only. It's probably going to be over your head, and I'm totally fine with that. So click on that link for those of you who are waiting here during the break. If you could take this quiz. There are 25 questions. You get 1 point for each correct answer. What I'd like you to do is take this quiz. Will you do that? Click on the link, and then click on the button, Start the Quiz. Here's another link if that link doesn't work. I'm just curious to know how you do. What I think I'll do is I'll go ahead and let you answer the question, and then I'll give you the correct answer. Okay, has everybody got their question? Everybody decided what answer they're going to put? Cascading style sheets. Well, I think I said something a little bit different. Oh, keep going. Oh, that's fine. Keep going. Oh, yeah, don't let me slow you down. That's fine. Mary says she can't get into it. Mary, can you, I'm going to stop sharing. Can you share your screen, Mary? I'd like to see what's happening. All right, and can you click on the link and show me what happens? Click on the link in the chat and let's see what happens. Oh, do you know where the chat is? Are you able to? It's right where you typed in "No, I can't get into it." Scroll up to where I typed in the link and then click on that link. It's a blue underlined link. It says HTTP:. Did you scroll up to that? All right, there you go. Now click on start. There you're in it now. Okay, so now answer the question on the screen and then click next. And it's okay if you get it wrong. Can you see where it says what does HTML stand for? See those options down there? Okay, choose one of those options and then click next. There you go. Now you're going. Did you click next? Yeah. No, you're doing a right click. Do a left click. There you go. Very good. So far, so good. Okay, now we haven't gotten into this part. It's jumping right into the HTML, and we haven't even touched that at all. So by the end of the term, you can just pick anyone you want. Yes, we did. Well, that was where I was talking about that World Wide Web Consortium, the ones that are specifying what HTML. Remember I was talking about that? They're the ones defining what HTML is. And it's okay if you're guessing. It's all good. This is really learning. This is really where we hope for you to be by the time we're done with this course. We hope you get 25 out of 25. World Wide Web is what WWW stands for. Yeah, World Wide Web Consortium, W3 Consortium, World Wide Web. That's right. Now, if you're done, it just depends on your own comfort level. It's up to you. You can either message your answer to me directly by clicking on my name and doing a right click and or just clicking on my name in the participants and then sending it to me directly. Or depending on your comfort level, you can just share with everybody how you did. It's up to you. We have one more minute, I believe, right? 8:21. Okay, is anybody finished? It's time for us to start up our, you can either leave it there or finish it up, but I'm going to get back to our conversation. Chris got 7 out of 25. $14 out of 25 the first time for Sarah. Mary, what do you mean you lost it? You were going great there a minute ago. I'm not sure what happened when you say you lost it. Oh, I went back to my screen. Hmm. Let's see if that means you're viewing my screen instead of your screen. It's interesting. Mary, why don't you go ahead and share one more time? I'm gonna see if I can help you out. Oh, okay. Sounds like there's a sounds like there is a setting. Let's see. There is a setting in Zoom that probably is, if you go into Zoom, click on Zoom and then go into your profile or account settings. I think that there's an option that says if anybody's sharing, go into full screen mode. And that might be the thing that's messing you up. So you might want to turn off that setting just so that, for what it's worth, if that happens, you can actually move your mouse down to the bottom along your taskbar, and then click on the on your browser icon. So it would be on Chrome, right? And then when you want to come back to seeing my screen, you can go back over to the Zoom icon, which is the far right there. It's that white video camera around the blue icon, the circle. So that's how you can go between your session, which is here in your browser, and then the session over in Zoom. Another thing you can do, I think, you got it, is to hold the command key down and click tab. And can everybody see that? If you want, you can go between Zoom, let go, hold down your command key with your left hand, left thumb, and then just barely tap the tab key once at a time, and that will allow you to toggle over to the other application. And then you just let go. So once again, hold down the command key with your left thumb, and then just click tab, single click at a time, and then let go once you've hit the one you want to go to. And then there you go. So do that one more time. Let me see how you're doing. Hold your first down the command, and then a single click, click, click until you get to the other one you want to get to, and then you let go. Now, for what it's worth, once you are toggling between two programs, you can actually hit Command and Tab at the same time, and it will just toggle you between the app you're in and the other in the other app. That will, so you just hit Command and Tab at the same time, and it just brings you over to the other app, and then you hit it again, and it brings you back and forth. Does everybody know how to do that? All right, I'm gonna share my screen. One more tip while I'm thinking about it, and that is, does everybody know how to use desktops? This is just a little tip. This is not related to the course itself directly, this discussion. This is just a little tip on helping you. And if you have your trackpad, if you put 4 fingers down towards the bottom of the trackpad and push up, it will give you a view of your application. So I have here 2 different desktops. And when if you were to maximize a program such as your browser, it would create a new desktop from that. Because right now I've got a desktop here that's got my browser, and also it's the place where I'm sharing my screen. But I also have a desktop here. This is like a virtual second display, but it's all right here. Now this here happens to be Dreamweaver, and it's its own application. And so if I want to go between these 2 screens, I can do the 4-finger push, and then I can come over here and click that, and that gives me this other desktop screen. 4-finger push, I can come back. But even neater than that, yeah, and obviously I'm doing this on a Mac, and if you don't have a Mac, then you don't have this exact capability. You know, I just showed you about the Command tab going between 2 programs. So I'll go between, for example, Dreamweaver is one, and then I'll toggle over to Google Chrome as the other. So now if I hit Command and Tab at the same time, it goes between these 2. See how that does that? That happens, that's because of that. Now, with this other ability here with the desktops, you can hold a control key down and do a right arrow. And then a left arrow will bring it back. So control, right arrow, and left arrow will scroll you through the different desktops. Now, here's another tip. If you are interested, you can, even with a browser, when it's not maximized, you can, for example, grab a tab here and pull it out. So now it's no longer part of that window. And watch this. I'm going to keep it out. Then I'm going to maximize it right here. And now, if you do 4-finger push, now I've got another display here. So you can do that with each tab. Now, because I maximized it, I have browser in this window. And remember the control left arrow? See, I control left arrow, I come to this display. Control right arrow, I come to here. So, and if you want, you can rearrange these displays by grabbing it and moving it over, and then coming back into it. Now we do Control left arrow, we hit this one, Control left arrow, and hit that one. All right, enough of that. Is that at all helpful? I've spent 8 minutes here. Did that help anybody? Are you glad I showed that to you? Just give me a little feedback, because I don't want to affect our class negatively. I actually give you that just so that you can, when you do your assignment, in fact, let me give you one more bit of advice. We have a textbook, and I'm going to show you how to put that even in one of these other desktops. Click syllabus. A little bit of a diversion here, but it's actually kind of helpful for you to know this. Sorry, thought there was a link right there in the syllabus. They should have a link. So I clicked on modules here, and then right down here, Vital Source ebook. I'm going to click on that, and then click here, load Vital Source ebook in a new window. Okay, I'm going to show you something. This is also probably going to be a little helpful. It's related to what we've been talking about just in the past 8 minutes. I want to show you how you can grab that tab, bring it down kind of like what we just did, and then maximize it. Again, this is only for the Mac folks. The Windows folks is slightly different. So now I've got my course here, and I've got the book here. So, for example, if you don't have a secondary display, what you can do is, let's say you're working on your assessment, and you can do this, and then you can just go back and forth between the assessment and the textbook. So that's just a little bit of a tip for you. Now, was that helpful to anybody? Did that help? That's another little tip and trick. All right, so the information I have about the textbook, Christopher asked a question, ebook, and later in the course, it mentions a second book specifically on Dreamweaver. Is that going to be auto-listed as well? The information I've been given from our Associate Dean is that this is our textbook here that we're going to be using. So if there's a reference to another book, if you could point that out so that I can make sure the Associate Dean fixes that link, that would be very helpful. Okay, so if you can, tell me where that is. All right, enough of that. We just spent 10 minutes on that conversation. I'm hoping that that was well-timed and helpful to each of you. Back to our assignment and the objectives for this week. Week 3 readings. Okay, great. I'll look at that later on. Now let's get into, we'll come back to this here. This is just, these are links to come back to, because I want to briefly talk about the discussion, make sure everybody understands the discussion. There's some helpful links here. These are the links that I expect to be under that button on our home page, where it's media and so on. These are just helpful links. So I'm going to click on next so that we can, oh, thank you if you've already introduced yourself. I appreciate that very much. Hello out to James Major. I know James personally. Welcome, James. And there's Christopher, looking sharp. In his, Christopher, you must have a degree already. Oh, okay. Okay, so here, let's talk briefly about the discussion. Okay, interview yourself using the attached website planning questionnaire. So this is easy. By the way, some people have asked, can we interview somebody else for their website? And the answer is yes. I would be more than happy to work with you if you have somebody else who you want to build a website for. So this doesn't have to be just your personal portfolio website. Okay, somebody asked that question, but I think it would be a good thing to have a real world example if you have somebody else in mind. And the personal portfolio site, if you have another idea that you'd rather do, I'm definitely open to that. So just in case anybody is interested. So website planning questionnaire. How do you answer the question about the requirements of a website. Need to build a website creative brief. What is the importance of interviewing? What are the advantages and disadvantages of creating a website creative brief this way? All right. So let's click on this link here. It's a PDF file. So these questions are, this is a form, and these would be the questions that you'd be asking your client. The company, the client, who's the contact person is. Sorry about that. It's a little bit loud. I apologize. My son just arrived home. It's his birthday today, and I apologize. He just arrived home from college, so that's what's going on in the other room. A little birthday party for my son. Contact information, launch date. That would be the launch date of the website. The budget, how much money you plan to spend, whether or not it's a new site, and if not a new site, what's the current website address of that? The scope of replacement, number of sites impacted. Are you combining the sites? This here is in case an existing website exists. And then are you combining the sites? The new URL of the site, whether or not you're going to a new website. By the way, talking about URL, have you ever seen that before? URL, does anybody know what URL stands for? This is just a trivia question. URL is an acronym. It stands for Universal Resource Locator, URL. And it basically is the website or the web page address. New URL site. Also, does everybody know about the planning that goes into creating a domain? This is a little bit related to this, because if your client wants to have his or her own website, you're going to have to register a domain. How many of you have ever registered a website domain before? And if you have, go ahead and tell me what website it is that you registered. Now, website domains cost about $10 a month. Excuse me, about $10 a month a year. And so I've actually registered several domains. And if you come up with a unique one, I like to go to GoDaddy.com to check it out. And so that would be part of your website planning. The new URL of the site. In other words, do you need to register a new domain name? That's basically a website name. All a domain name is a kind of a nickname given your server, so that instead of a number, they actually set it up so that your domain would go to your web server. Purpose of the site. Now we're getting into some of the the questions that related to our earlier conversation about, oops, I think I've got two tabs open. Okay, here we go. Purpose of the site, the goals of the business, what is in it for your organization. This is obviously if you're creating a new website for a company. By the way, somebody asked if they could do their planning for a website for their business, their own personal business. That'd be fine. For example, if you're creating a graphic design company or a web design company or something like that, that's fine too. So business goals, marketing needs, marketing objectives. The objectives for, in the past, websites were usually just fancy electronic brochures of your company, but now they've become interactive. They've become the place where companies can, or customers can come and connect with the company, for example, on support, links. They also can come there not only to see information about existing products, but they can get testimonials, for example, of other customers. Just think of all the planning that would go into, for example, designing a website like Amazon. Let's go to that website. Now, Amazon, this is very complex. Amazon, I'm pretty sure is written using a website being driven by, I think, PHP, but I may be wrong. It's a scripting server. All these graphics are part of the database, and all these links are being generated by the scripting of the website. All these links and pictures are all, just think of all the planning that has to go involved in designing all this. Well, that's kind of what we're talking about here. The links down here and so on. Here's some of the things that can be done. You know, help, clicking on help and doing database reports. And so what are you communicating to your visitors? Somebody asked if they could do their write-up on an e-commerce. E stands for electronic commerce website, basically a website where you sell things. That could be also the scope of this conversation. If you have current page, how can we make it better to communicate your message? So marketing is very much interested in what the website is saying about the products and services. Another thing here, example of signing up for an e-newsletter, electronic newsletter. Oh, your website could be, click here, enter in your email address, and we'll add you to our email distribution list so that whenever we publish a newsletter for a company, let's say once a month, you can be on the distribution list. That's another nice advantage, nice feature of some of the new current websites. Easy opt-in, opt-out. What that means is the ability to add yourself to the newsletter, email distribution list, and remove yourself also. Do you want users' personal information? Yeah, Amazon will create HTML, but the question is on the back end, what are the servers generating? So this is a little bit, just so everybody understands, these dynamic websites, these are called dynamic websites because they're actually driven by scripting languages, scripting scripts on the web server, not static HTML, but actually scripts that actually access the database. So we might ask Google, what is the scripting language used by Amazon? Oh, now this here, oh, that's interesting. So they're open. So the answer is Java mainly. C++ is, they're open to it. Python, Perl, and Ruby used in the scripting side. So the website is not written in HTML. This is a little bit tricky, a little bit advanced, but the fact is it's written in these programming languages, but it outputs HTML. That's what it outputs. So when we go to the Amazon website, and for those of you who don't know how to do this, you can do a right click on any web page and click View Page Source. Right click, View Page Source. And you will see HTML and you'll see JavaScript and you'll see, this is JavaScript up in here, and you'll see links to or CSS, it's Cascading Style Sheet. This is all being generated by programs. They're not hard-coded. You won't find files on their website that contain all of this in one file. So it's a little bit tricky. The advanced websites are run by programs and scripts that output HTML. And the browser itself, and your browser is what will interpret this, the HTML, and display it and render it. So the browser is responsible for rendering this right here. It takes the HTML and then renders it. Each picture, it has to go and get that from the web server. Every image, it says, hey, give me this image, oh, give me this image, yep, give me this, you know, and it will read through all that HTML and it'll grab these images off the website and then display them. It's the browser's job is to render the web page. It's like a rendering. It's a rendering tool. Okay. So even though you see HTML when you view the source, you need to realize that underneath the hood, they've got scripts. Now, this course is not going to worry about those scriptings. All this course is going to worry about is the HTML. So the scope of our course is going to be this statically created HTML files for your design. And just so you know, Java is actually different than JavaScript. JavaScript is a subset of Java, and the browser, your browser, is also going to interpret the JavaScript as well as the HTML. JavaScript is a programming language. HTML is actually not considered a programming language. It's just a markup language. The reason why there's a difference is because a programming language has structure, if-then statements, but HTML doesn't have that. CSS is also not a programming language. It's related to, it works with HTML, the cascading style sheet. We'll talk about that later on. Purpose of the site, challenges faced with current e-marketing, electronic marketing processes. Sarah says, if statements, those can be fun or a pain. How will you measure success of the site? And then it goes on, marketing needs, competitors, security needs, web, in other words, is there any content and information that needs to be secure? For example, a web page where you can check out and buy things. That would be considered a secure, and just so you know, a little hint here, if there is an S right there, see the HTTPS? What that means is the information that you're going to be submitting from this page back to their servers, it'll be encrypted. So that's what they're talking about being secure. Is there anything where people will be submitting information from their browser that you want to keep secure? That's what this is talking about right there, special security measures. And definitely when people are typing in credit card numbers, you want that to be secure. Now keep in mind that an entire website does not have to be secure, but when you get to the checkout page, definitely. So let me see if going to the cart here, see this page here, you look up here, does it say HTTPS? And it doesn't. HTTP, by the way, stands for the protocol by which the browser is communicating with the backend server. So hypertext, let's see, transfer protocol, HTTP. And then the S, we're going to the cart. There, see the S show up? See it right there? That means that now my communications between the browser and the backend server are now secure. So that's what this is talking about. Secure meaning they're encrypted. Meaning if anybody's monitoring the line between the, capturing the packets of information that are going from my browser through the internet to their server, if it's secure, it's actually encrypted up to 128-bit encryption, means that nobody has the ability to monitor that signal packet and extract it out. So that's what they're talking about for security. Project description, websites you like. This is kind of interesting where you give examples of competitor websites. Types of visitors, meaning we have customers or we have partners or we have competitors. examples. Type of visitors. Who do you want to be able to edit the site, and what level of editor will they be? This has to do with the creation of the website. Sometimes your customers will say, you know, I'd like to pay you to set up my website, but from then on, I really would like the ability to change the content myself. So that's what this question is about. In other words, how much does your customer want to participate in the process of managing the website, the content of the website? How many web pages, different web pages to the website? Now this comes into play especially with our design, because we're going to talk about static web pages. Static means you will create web pages that have HTML in it. You won't be creating scripts that then generate the HTML. Yep, Sarah mentioned social security numbers. Page number, oh, these are the different pages. So you might have a web page for your portfolio, for example, a web page for your blog, a web page for contact me, a web page for about me, something like that. That's what these different pages would be talking about. Now, if you're thinking about, you know, an e-commerce website, you'd have a web page, additional web page for the checkout, web pages that might be specific to products. At my work, we have, oh, I haven't mentioned to you where I work. I work for a company called Unique Products. See that? HTTPS, right away we make it secure, right up front. Now, each of these pages, so a shopping page, these are all generated by database script, the PHP, scripting language. PHP is generating it and outputs HTML. So this would be one page design here. And then click on join. This would be another web page design. Now yours doesn't have to be this complex at all. I mean, we've been in business for several years, and I'm just giving you some examples of a particular page example and then the corresponding design. All right, that's so we would have one page for, let's say, a shopping page, another one for joining page, another page for, and so on. So that's what this is talking about, the different pages.
With that, though, you could have pages within pages because of a link, right?
Any page that you would link to would actually be a separate page if it's linking on your website. If the location or the direction of that link is another web page, that's a different design, for example, then that would show up as another different page. So if you scroll all the way down here at the bottom, we have a shop page, a join page, party page, they call it, makeup tutorials page. And so you can see these are links, but each of these would be different pages, different page design for each of these. We can talk templates. Templates are one approach to doing designs, but does that answer your question?
Yeah, I was thinking more of like if you have a link on a page and you click it, it'll stay on that same page, just pull something else open.
I see.
Not in a new tab or a new page, but within that page. Like for example, if you have find a presenter in your area, if you click on that and that pulls open on that same page where you just were.
Yeah, so that would be like dynamic content, and there are different ways of embedding content within the same page, and that could become part of your design. Am I getting closer to what you were talking about?
I believe so. I call it a page within a page because you still have to set it up separately for that link to work.
Okay, so there's a thing called an iframe. You're not talking about iframe tag, are you?
Maybe.
Iframe, because an iframe tag and by the way, this is a little bit advanced for everybody. Don't worry, just for a moment. Let me help her.
Sorry, guys, I had a question that was a little advanced than this.
Yeah. So if you go to the iframe tag, just don't. Nobody else needs to worry about this. This is just to help her understand that. Just give me a second. An iframe tag is how you put a page within a page, and it literally allows you to embed a whole separate page inside another page, and this is possibly what you're talking about. And
I was gonna say, it looks like it is. It's just it's been a long time since I've done it. But I knew you could put like links, even if somebody's like, for example, with Unique, you can do. You had the different representatives. You could have their names listed separately, but be able to pull up different information on them within that page.
Yep. This whole section here is what is called a div tag, and so this, for example, is a dynamic. Every click sends a message to the server to display something different. And still, we're a little bit advanced here, but user interface design is also related to our whole conversation. I'm going to mention to you that there are different ways for you to communicate back in your design, to communicate back to the server that you want the server to give you different information. One way is through a link. By clicking on a link, you're telling the server, hey, I want to either go to that page. These are all links here. Go to that page, or I want you to do something different on this page. Now, this one here is one that when we click on it, we're telling the server to do something different. Let me see if I can come back to the original. This is actually find a sponsor. So let me click join here. Okay, here's an example. So I can't see it down here, but when you mouse over the link, this is all part of user interface design, and this is within the conversation of designing the interaction of your website. If you mouse over, it shows that that's a link that I'm going to go to. So that's a different address, a different URL. So by clicking it, you'll see, look up in here, you'll see that it will take me to a different website location, a different web page. So that's a link. Click there and see it changed up in here. So I went to a different web page. This would be a different web page design, and it would show up here in our right here. It would be another web page. Now we want a simple website. We're not trying to get a very complex one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 web pages is all that we're after for the scope of our website design. And so that's one way, is to link to a different web page. Another way for your user interface to communicate to the web server that you want to do something different is through like single, hold on. Is that distracting? It's distracting me a little bit. I'm wanting to go out there and asking them to keep it down. They're playing. All right, I apologize. That's my other daughter, who is, in fact, I'll show you. I'll introduce my family really quickly here. There's my wife. This is my oldest daughter, Brianne. She's a business major at 20. She's up at the University of Utah. This is whose birthday it is today. son Jonathan. This is the one you're hearing. You can tell she's quite outgoing. This is the son who is in Somerville, South Carolina, or was until recently. He's moved, I think, across town. That's him too. Two of him. And this is my youngest son, Dylan. Dylan and I we work on. He's a sixth grader, and he works on. And they're in there playing. That was that one there. They're playing. They're playing cards because they're celebrating my son's birthday. All right. Oh, anyways, I was going to mention this other interactivity between you sitting here on the browser and the backend server. Now, this is a little bit complex, but instead of bringing up a whole different web page, here we click. We're going to do something here on this web page, and it's going to respond. But here's the thing: we did not go to a different website, a web page. You can see we're on the same web page, but the interaction changed. Now, I want to explain to you what is doing that. And it's an advanced mechanism through that JavaScript that I talked to you about earlier. And it's JavaScript that's embedded in your web page. It's only the JavaScript allows you to create this interactivity all within a single page. Now, JavaScript is actually outside the scope of our class. We're going to be focusing on just HTML and CSS in this class. But in the future, you'll have opportunities to make designs that are interactive, and by clicking here, you send a message. It's using JavaScript. It's sending a message back to the server, and it doesn't have to go to a different web page. It's just as interaction. So more and more, that's how websites are responding. That using JavaScript to provide the interaction between your web page and the backend server. So these here fall in the category of different web page that you go to. Here, that's what we're talking about, different web page. We don't even talk about in the design of these websites any of that advanced interactivity that I was just mentioning that requires JavaScript to do. Oh, it looks like they give you more room. I thought that was it, and we're into a different sim, but this is actually, you don't need to fill out all those. We're trying to get like a 5-page design. So there's more than enough. And that's it. So that's the planning questionnaire. And you don't have to fill that out in order to respond. We're just giving you that as a guide. Okay? So that's, hopefully hopefully that's good enough. Well, that's a nice, very nice, by the way, Tony. And everybody notice here that Tony is using APA format for his reference. Hopefully, if you have any questions about APA format, that's one of the things that we grade on. And it's 150 words plus the APA formatted reference. And you want to have a citation here. Not sure where, there it is right there. See that? Citation. Very good. Any questions about the discussion? Oh, no. I'm a little concerned because I'm just thinking I've been looking at a different web page than I think has been shared. Have you just been looking at my desktop for the past several minutes? That concerns me. Oh, no? Okay. Well, I was worried about that because it seemed like, now do you see my desktop? Is that what's being shared? Okay, good. Thank you, Jason. Okay, so I need to see, I need to figure out what now, do you see on my screen the browser? Is that what's on the screen right now? Because I need to see if that's still the okay. So so let me just make sure I'm still. Do you see week 1 assignment on my screen right now? Week 1 assignment. Okay, good. So that's working. I thought that it was. That's good. It's following me right along. Okay, so the scope of our assignment is develop a creative brief for your personal portfolio website. Now, this is the thing that people have asked me, and I'd be more than happy to work with you on creating a different scope. Okay, so use the template in the reading section, so we'll jump to that here in a second, to obtain headers to create your own. Include 3 or more sentences in each section, your content that pertain to your project. You'll be graded on following directions professionally. Export your design into a PDF with the naming convention. Okay. And there's your full credit. Now, if you click on this for a student example, it's pretty involved. I'm not sure if the associate dean looked at this, but this is a very involved example. 15 pages long. And if you go back to the, if we go back, I want to show you that the page that we're at a moment ago. Let's go back here. I'm just a little bit concerned because website planning questionnaire, but if we go back, I want to show you what concerned me a little bit, that I just need to discuss this with you, is that the right here, see right here, we make a reference to this here, creative brief sample, and yet when you scroll down, you see that long one that I just showed you. So I'm going to double click this. Okay, can you see Microsoft Word running on where it says personal portfolio website creative brief? Okay, so this is it. So here's the sample, and this is really the scope of the assignment. This is an example. So there's a little bit conflicting things going on, because here's an example, and the assignment, this example is much bigger and longer, because right here, this first section is really all to see up that to the stakeholders. Now, if you come over here, you can see this right here this is all we do in week 1. Right up to here. So what page number is that? Well, that's page 3. So I just want everybody to realize that this is really week 2 information. This example that they've given you that's in the assignment is really the result of after week 2, not week 1. Pages 1, 2, and 3 are the result of week 1. So that's what concerned me, and hopefully it's clear to you that, and here's the template. This is the file that you can begin working with. Hopefully you won't get concerned, because this is it for week 1. Here's an example right there, and then this is the template, which comes from that. That's it. Yeah, this is the outline that we recommend. If you have a better one than this, can you point it out to me and email me and let me know if you have a better template that you want to follow. This is for those who don't have access to anything better. So this is it. So this is all you need for the week 1 assignment. Okay, does everybody see what my concerns are? The sample within the assignment is pointing to a week 2 result, and then that's unnecessary. We'll get into page layout and website design next week. So I was asked not to change this and just to leave it. And so that's why I expressed my concerns. Now, does anybody have any questions? I think that somebody has a question about the discussion. Scotty, if you want to hold on, we're going to end here just a minute. So, Scott, if you want to hold on, I'd like to talk with you to make sure you are on the same page. Oh, week 1 is discussion and then assignment, and then you also have an assessment in addition to this. We'll go over the assessment on Wednesday night. It's just 10 questions, and we'll go over that in class. All right, well, it's come time. It's 10 minutes after 9, and I meant to stop at 9 o'clock. I ran over. I apologize. I promise from now on I'll excuse everybody at 9 o'clock, and if anybody wants to stay after, they can. So for those of you who have questions, please stay after. I'll keep the recording going. And thank you very much. Give me a couple hours to download and process and upload the recording. For sure, it'll be there by tomorrow morning. And if you have any questions or concerns, just email me. Let me know how this lecture went for you. If you have any feedback on that, I love feedback. Frankly, I love negative feedback. Believe it or not, I love positive feedback, obviously, but I actually love negative feedback because I really trust your opinion, and I want to make sure that I'm meeting your expectations. So if you have any negative feedback, the door is wide open. I'd like to really encourage you to provide me your honest opinion on how this lecture went for you, what went well, what didn't go well. Send me an email, and that way I'll be able to improve myself too. That's always helpful. It's always nice to get feedback, both positive and negative, because you can always learn from that. So go ahead and stay after if you have any questions. If not, thank you very much for showing up tonight. I wish you well. We'll see you Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Thanks again.
I don't really have a question rather than a tip.
Go ahead.
I just kind of jumped ahead and looked at the assessment for this week, and the sample that you have for the student sample to use for the example, the link does not work.
Okay. Let me look at that. See, that's the kind of thing. I'd gone through the course, but I think the associate dean was making some more changes. So let me see if there's a broken link. Huh. Yep. I'll report that.
Yeah, that's the same error that I get.
I think that sitemap might be the second part of the
Yes.
assignment example.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I got when I looked at, because I had the same problem, and then I saw the other one, and I thought that was containing both assignment and assessment.
Yep. I see your point. And on Wednesday night, I see your point. I agree. I stand corrected. That was combining the two. And that's not what we really would like to happen. We don't want them in the same file. We want them in separate files. So yeah, because this will have its own place to publish, submit an assignment. So
Oh, you mean for the two separate?
yeah, this is,
that's one submission and the wireframe was another submission.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
The assignment would be one submission, and then the assessment would be a separate submission. See, the submit assignment for the submit assignment, this is just for the creative brief questions. And I apologize that I was confused on that a moment ago.
What if we just put a note by this student example here and just let them know, like, you know, page is an example of the assessment?
That's a good idea. I'll do that. Thank you for helping me and giving me some feedback. I appreciate it. So
No problem.
there's a submit. So this would be a submit for the second part, and the other submit would be for the first part.
I see what you're saying. I don't know who was talking, but I see what you're saying about how this is like page 3 and 4 or whatever of it. That was the example in the first for the assignment.
Yeah, that's what I got when I looked through that. I mean, it's an example of a site map, and it looks like it'll work for assessment 1.
Yeah, I'm going to cut that part up to. I'm going to talk to the associate dean tonight and give her the feedback. And I think what I'd like to propose to her is that we provide on the assignment just the first part example, and then I'll fix this link and put the second part in it so that nobody's confused. So let me work on that with the teacher or with the associate dean tonight to get the approval to make those changes, because those will help out the that'll help out the confusion that's being created, especially if this is a broken link. We have to fix that for sure.
Sounds good.
Thank you very much.
Yep. You guys have a good night.
Thank you.
Have a good evening. So on Wednesday's class, we're going over the assessment then, and then any other questions?
Yep, that's right.
And it's going to be the same amount of time?
It's going to be what?
The same amount of time? It's going to be a couple hours?
Yep, 7 to 9. That's right.
Okay. It makes it for a long night for us on the East Coast.
Yeah, I'm wondering if I should try to move it up earlier. I can guarantee that I'm home at 7 from work.
Well, some people are good on it. I know right now it's like 20 after 11. My day starts about 6 a.m.
Is there a better time? Do other teachers begin earlier?
I have class this mod at 4 to 6. So, I mean, I've had classes at 7 or 8 or 9 o'clock, so it doesn't make a difference to me.
Okay. That's good feedback. All right, we'll keep it in place. The dean of the college likes to keep a hold to the schedule. So if that's okay with you, then I'll maintain that. All right, so Scotty asked the question, should we hold off on this until Wednesday for the assessment? And I would say yes. You can hold off, and because we haven't yet gone over the assessment. The assessment, oh, she changed it. That's exactly what's happened. It used to be a question and answer thing, and she told me she was going to be changing that. And since I went through the course on Sunday, that's what's happened. She did not mention that. No, she said she was going to do it, and and I hadn't yet received an email that it was done. So that's why I was confused on that second, on the assessment. And I apologize for my confusion. She mentioned, the Associate Dean mentioned, Caroline, mentioned she was going to make a change to the assessment. It had been a question and answer test. And now I recall, she said she's going to fix or change that, and that's what's happened. So she's changed that. So we'll go over the assessment on Wednesday night. We'll talk about sitemaps and wireframes, and then I'll see if we can get this link fixed. So if you need to stay after for asking questions, feel free. Yes, Scotty, the main post for the discussion is due by Wednesday night at midnight. Okay. And Will, do you have any questions?
No, I'm all good.
Awesome. All right. Well, if neither of you have any questions, can we call it a night?
Good night.
All right. Take care. Thank you. Good night.